Hey everybody, it's Mr. Marshall at Stony Lane. So a couple of weeks ago, I gave you a couple other videos about the importance of making a plan, right? And I talked about how there was some construction going on near my house where they were building all these houses and they needed to make a plan. I also told you about a party that my family had, and we had to make a plan for that. Well, so we also made a trip this year. We took a trip. My whole family went to Alaska, and maybe you saw some of the videos that I posted. Like and subscribe about my trip to Alaska and all the different things that I saw. But and when we had that trip, we didn't just say, "Okay, we're going to go on the trip today. Let's get some stuff in our suitcases and go." No, we had to plan a lot of things. We had to plan out where we were going to travel and what we were going to see. We had to plan where we were going to sleep every night because we kept going from place to place. We had to plan what we were going to eat and where we were going to eat. We had to plan what clothes we were going to bring because it's Alaska and the weather is different. We had to plan how we were going to pay for everything because it's expensive, right? We had to think about all the different parts of our trip way before we ever started the trip, way before we even left. So, whenever you do something important, you have to make a plan. And in the previous videos, we talked about how that's true in writing, right? It's true whenever you do anything important, and writing is important. We talked about how to make a plan when we write a story. We talked about how to make a plan when you write teaching kind of writing or informational writing. Today, I want to talk to you about how we make a plan when we're trying to write what's called opinion writing, or some people call it argument writing. Opinion writing or argument writing is the kind of writing where we're trying to make our reader know how we feel, and maybe they'll feel that way too. Okay? And so there's one best structure for planning that I like to use, but there's a bunch of different ways to use it. Okay? And that is boxes and bullets. And you've probably studied boxes and bullets with your teacher. So boxes and bullets is where you take your big idea and you write it inside a box. And then you write bullets underneath to help you support. And so like what happens when you plan like this is it kind of tells you how you're going to open up your essay and then how you're going to support your idea. Okay? And so I want to teach you 4 different ways that you can use boxes and bullets. Are you ready? So here's way number 1. Way number 1 is if you are writing about something that has lots of examples, you can write your idea in the box and you can say, for example, for example, for example. And each thing that you write in the for example should be something that you could say a lot about. Okay? So for example, I'm going to say, my idea is holidays are important to my family. Holidays are important to my family. For example, what's an example? Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, I'm just going to use an abbreviation because I'm planning and that's quick. Thanksgiving, everyone meets and has a big dinner and we think about what we're thankful for. I'm just writing a few words to help me think. One example is Thanksgiving. So in my family, what's another example? Another example in my family is Christmas. My family celebrates Christmas. I'm just going to write an abbreviation, Christmas, and then I'm going to write about things that we do at Christmas. We have a special Christmas Eve dinner, and we have gifts, and then Christmas Day. So I'm using a lot of abbreviations. We meet with everyone in the whole big family, all the cousins and everything. And then what's one more example? So for example, on Memorial Day, everyone goes to my brother's house and we have a big barbecue, and he invites over 100 people. Can you believe that? He invites over 100 people because he's got a big, huge yard. Okay, see what I did? You see how I had a box and then bullet, example, example, example. All the examples are kind of equal, like not one is bigger than the other, but they're three different examples of how holidays are important to my family. Okay, so did you see I did that plan and it was really quick? Planning is quick. Writing takes a little longer. Planning is quick. Writing takes a little longer. And when I do that, it helps me get ready for what I'm going to write. I do it quickly, but it helps me know what I'm going to say. I don't just start writing my essay like, I wonder what I'm going to say. I know what I'm going to say. Okay? So now if you want to hit pause and try that out on your own, you can do that and then continue the video, and I'll show you another way. Okay? That was way number 1. Think of examples. Okay, welcome back. So here's way number 2. So we talked about having an example structure to our boxes and bullets. Now we're going to talk about having a reason structure or a because structure. Okay, so here we go. So I want to say in my box that being a teacher, teachers have to be like learners in lots of ways. Okay, teachers have to be like learners in lots of ways. Because. Let's see what kinds of becauses there are for this. Teachers have to be learners because they have to work together. Right? Kids have to work together in school all the time. Teachers have to work together too. Teachers have to work together to plan. They have to work together to figure out the best ways to teach something. Okay? Teachers have to work together. Teachers have to be like learners because they have to be curious. Like when you're learning something, you have to be curious about it. And teachers are like that too. Like just because you're a teacher doesn't mean you know everything. You have to be curious about learning new ways to learn something or teach something, right? And so they have to go to like learning days and workshops. They have to do a lot of things. They have to read a lot, right? So teachers have to be like learners because they're curious. Okay, what's a third reason? Teachers have to be like learners because they have to work together, because they have to be curious, because they have to be ready to make a mistake. They have to know that mistakes are okay. Right? Sometimes teachers try out a lesson and it doesn't go so well, and they have to be okay with that. They can't like be mad at themselves. They just have to try and try again until it gets better. So do you see what I did? That was my second way to use boxes and bullets. I say my big idea, and then I say because. Why don't you try that? Let's hit pause. You try that on your own. This is quick planning, remember. This is not taking you a long time. This is just a few quick minutes. Try that out, and then continue the video to learn the third way. Ready? Okay, so we learned the example structure. We learned the because structure, the reason structure. Now here comes our third one. Are you ready for the third one? The third one is to think about the parts of something. It's called a parts structure. So we think of the parts of a thing to kind of figure it out. Okay, so here we go. Here's my box. Here are my bullets that I'm going to use for parts. Okay, so I want to say that, near where we live, there's an amusement park that maybe you know too. It's called Great Adventure. Great Adventure. I'm just going to use GA. Is a fun place to visit. Great Adventure is a fun place to visit. The parts of Great Adventure. Let's think of the parts of Great Adventure that might be fun. Okay, so one is the rides, right? There's a lot of cool rides at Great Adventure. There's roller coasters, there's water slides, there's all sorts of other things that are good for big kids and for little kids, right? And for grown-ups. So there's great rides. Great Adventure is a fun place to visit. Let's think of another part of Great Adventure. Another part of Great Adventure is they have really yummy food. It's expensive, but it's good food. It's not healthy food, but it's fun to eat, right? So the rides are one part of Great Adventure. The food is another part of Great Adventure. What's one more part of Great Adventure? Sometimes, every once in a while, they have shows where they perform something, right? It could be music, it could be magic, it could be comedy, but that's another part of Great Adventure is the shows, right? So you see what I did? I thought of Great Adventure, and I thought of, well, what are the parts of Great Adventure? The rides, the food, and the shows. Okay, so that's a third way to use boxes and bullets. It was quick, wasn't it? It was really quick thinking and really quick planning, and I wrote it down quickly because my writing of the essay is going to be longer, and I'm going to know what I want to write about already because I made my plan. So you can hit pause and try that right now. And when you're ready, I'll show you the fourth way to use boxes and bullets. Okay, so far we've studied 3 ways to use boxes and bullets for opinion writing, right? We talked about the examples structure. For example. We talked about the reason structure, because. We talked about the part structure, one part, another part, another part. We're going to learn a fourth way to use boxes and bullets now. And we can use this kind of boxes and bullets when we're talking about a story. And it could be a story in a book, or it could be a story of something that happened to us, like a special day in our life, right? So I'm going to use it first to show you how to use it when you're writing about a book. Okay, so there's a book that I love to write about, and it's called James and the Giant Peach. Maybe you know it. It's by Roald Dahl. And one of the things I like to think about is that James changes a lot during the book. Okay. And then what I do is I think about the beginning, I think about the middle, I think about the end. And this is true for James, but it's true for any character that changes, because most characters change inside books. You know that, right? So in the beginning of the book, James was lonely. He didn't have any friends. His parents had died. He had these 2 mean aunts, and he just felt very lonely. Then in the middle of the book, James starts to become friends with the bugs, with the insects that live inside the peach that he ends up in. He becomes their friend. They do lots of fun things together. And then at the end, he becomes a real leader. Because what happens is they get in all sorts of wacky trouble, right? Like happens in stories sometimes. And they all turn to him and say, James, what do we do? And James always figured it out. So did you see what I did? I thought about the beginning and the middle and the end about James, right? You could do that with any character in any book, right? Think about something that happens in the beginning, something that happens in the middle, and something that happens at the end. You could do that like about a special day in your life. So if you had a special like party or something, you could talk about the beginning of your day, the middle of your day, and the end of your day, and talk about how that affected you. Okay? So there you have it. You could try that one too, but we have 4 structures now for how we use boxes and bullets for opinion writing or argument writing. You could think about examples, for example. You could think about reasons and say because. You could think about the parts of something, one part, another part. Or you could think about, if you're writing about a story, the beginning, the middle, and the end. That's how you can use boxes and bullets to make a plan. You should make a plan every time you write. Did you hear that? You should make a plan every time you write, because writing is important. It's important like when you're building something. It's important like when you're planning a party. It's important like when you're planning a trip. It's important when you're writing to make a plan. So make a plan, do some great writing, and I'll see you next time.